No, 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 no. Wait. Hey. Wait.
I know what you're thinking of doing. You're thinking, a Halo BR, what a load of bullshit, I'm gonna dislike this idiot's video. But before you do that, hear me out. I had this video planned a while before Dr. Disrespect's little outburst, and I saw the reaction to what he said, so I'm prefacing this video now by saying that I am by no means under the delusion, like some people, that Halo needs a battle royale in order to succeed. I'm not stuck in the streamer bubble of only considering things that are relevant. What I am, however, is a long-time passionate fan of this series who loves it when the games innovate or adapt existing modes or features from other games and improves upon them. I'm also looking at this from a business perspective too, and likely will be talking about stuff that I'm sure the bigwigs at Microsoft have brought up in conversation. I know that in this day and age we've been conditioned to aggressively disagree and switch off from listening to people's opinions that we don't like. Why else do you think Twitter was created? Get comfortable, leave your bias at the door, and just hear me out. You might find some ideas in here that you like, and then once you've got through it all, let me know what you think. Does that sound fair? I always read the comments on my videos, so you hear what I have to say, then I'll hear what you have to say. Cool? Cool. All right. Roll the intro. Hello there, guys, gals, ladies, and gentlemen. My name is Leipaladin, and today I thought I'd take the time to make another controversial video. I know, right? Who would have known? I'm going to be playing Devil's Advocate today and coming up with some arguments for a Halo Battle Royale, and I know what some people are already going to say.
Halo isn't suited to a battle royale. The only BR343 care about is the battle rifle.
Leipaladin is
Halo
a
should
maniac.
set trends, not follow them.
A
343
Jimmy,
should
your mom is
divert
hot.
resources away from making the game's multiplayer. And no one's
And to that, all I have to say is don't knock it till you try it. If anything, Halo is the only first-person shooter that I can see feasibly working as a Battle Royale game with minimal tweaks to make it work properly. There are a lot of mechanics already in Halo that would allow it to transfer over to the Battle Royale genre easily and flawlessly. Allow me to explain what I mean. Let's jump back to 2018. Was Call of Duty's first attempt at making a Battle Royale game, and all things considered was pretty damn good. Blackout suffered from a lot of shortcomings which could easily be made into a video of its own, comment if you want to see that and why it's still better than Warzone, but Treyarch managed to pull through with a limited development time and almost completely changed the engine they were running the mode on from the ground up. They implemented things like vehicles, which was something that hadn't been seen in a multiplayer setting since 2008's World at War, overhauled the weapon mechanics to have a projectile-based system instead of hit scan so you couldn't laser people from across the map. They made weapon pickups a priority instead of starting with a loadout. I mean, pickups in general, an inventory system, looting, attachments for weapons so you could swap in and out, wingsuit gliding, a huge map with greatly increased render distance to compensate, AI on the map, increased health, armor, the ability to repair armor, meds, manual healing, and the list goes on. The argument that I'm trying to make here is that Treyarch had to change a lot from the standard Call of Duty formula and engine to make a BR mode work, and there was a bit of suspension of disbelief too, as many of the classic characters that you play as and fight against should be long dead during the decade that the game takes place in. Now we look at Halo on the other hand, and so many of these features have already been in previous titles. Vehicles have been a mainstay in Halo since the beginning. Halo has dabbled with using projectile-based weaponry instead of hit scan. Weapon pickups and map control have always been a huge deal, and fighting to get the certain weapons that you want. Big maps are kind of Halo's jam, especially with Infinite now having an open world, which is the next evolution of that. There's already a down and revive mechanic in Halo that was developed for Halo 5's campaign. The time to kill is lenient, and by playing as your own Spartan, there's no contradictions being made to timelines, lore, or whatever, as it's just another wargame simulation. So much of what you need to make a BR mode is already there in Halo's formula, so the argument that it'd take too long to develop seems like a shallow one to me. With so many studios being outsourced to work on this game, if 343 can't do it, I have no doubt that another, like Certain Affinity, could. Much like how Ravensoft were handed the reins to Infinity Ward's Modern Warfare 2019 engine to make Warzone, especially if Treyarch, right? Treyarch, of all studios, can throw together a competently made BR mode in 9 months, if the rumors are true. So, in this video, I'll aim to answer two main questions. What is the potential of a Halo Battle Royale, and what would it do differently or better than its competitors? Currently, there are 4 main Battle Royale games on the market: PUBG, Fortnite, Apex Legends, and Call of Duty Warzone. PUBG has fallen out of favour with many due to its clunky mechanics and underwhelming graphics, while Fortnite has gone from king of the hill to cringe due to the influx of a toxic young fan base and just a whole stigma surrounding that. Apex kind of faded from the spotlight for a little bit, but has seen a pretty big resurgence in players recently due to the lack of love and support for a certain other BR game, Warzone. Yikes. Where to start with this mess of a game? The weapon meta is stagnant and frequently dominated by a select few overpowered guns that the developers will take weeks, sometimes over a month to nerf. Hacking and cheating is a consistent problem with no end in sight due to the code for the game's new anti-cheat being leaked. The devs seem more occupied making $30 cosmetic bundles that cost half the price of a full Call of Duty game, as opposed to actually listening to the community and removing or changing what the majority thinks is right. Skill-based matchmaking makes the game borderline unbearable for players who reach a certain skill ceiling and punishes you for playing well. The map has hardly changed since the game released over a year ago. There's a lack of good limited time modes, no new content being funneled into the game, and whenever there is, it's almost always divisive and broken. Grow skins suck, and it's very obvious that Ravensoft just do not know what the fuck they're doing.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
So, as you can imagine, the competition, and I use that word very lightly, the competition, in inverted commas, is looking like dog food at the moment. There's a strong desire for something different and fresh within the gaming community, as during 2020 and the pandemic, aside from Warzone, we didn't see any competition. Warzone has been riding high for over a year now, but because of its lackluster support and lazy developers, a sentiment I've been seeing among a lot of Call of Duty YouTubers and streamers is that the moment something else pops up, especially from the AAA market, from a franchise as beloved as Halo, there's a strong chance that people might just move on to something innovative and new, leaving Verdansk in the nuclear dust. Now is the perfect time for Halo to come out swinging. Call of Duty has half-assed their approach to game releases by having Warzone as free-to-play while having to pay for the multiplayer experiences for Modern Warfare, Black Ops Cold War, and now Vanguard. But what if they were both free? Halo Infinite has already announced it's going to have a free-to-play multiplayer. Slap a BR mode on top of that to appeal to the casuals, and to other people who might not like Halo but like BR modes, and you could very easily have a massive player base across both modes. Like the Halo Battle Royale? Why not try the multiplayer for free right now? Like Halo Infinite's multiplayer? Well, here's something a little different for you to try out with no paywall. So if you don't like it, you can go back to playing what you want and you wouldn't have lost anything except for a bit of time. Between having a multiplayer that's free to play, Xbox Live no longer requiring players to have a gold membership to play free-to-play games, Xbox Game Pass across multiple platforms, and the potential for a free-to-play Battle Royale as well. That's piqued the interest of several million people already and lowered the barrier for entry considerably. Therefore, a lot of new customers and a lot more money if you were to monetize the game through microtransactions or the Battle Pass as an extension of what we already have in Infinite's multiplayer. The argument that the player base would be divided is completely null and void, especially with more options than ever available to more people than ever to play Halo completely free of charge across Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, and PC. A Battle Royale would be less likely to divide the community and more likely to rally more people to it, especially newer people. So, in summary, the competition is weak, the BR works as an advertisement for other parts of the game like multiplayer and campaign. If there's no barrier for entry, it can wheel in potentially millions of people and could get Halo back on top where it used to be prior to the 2010s. And doesn't everyone want that? Being a science fiction story set in the future with multiple alien races and ancient superweapons, Halo has a canvas for a Battle Royale mode unlike any of the competition. Let's start with the setting of the mode. Obviously, a Halo Battle Royale would take place on a Halo ring. If we wanted to keep within what's established with Halo Infinite, it could be on Zeta Halo. Not only would you have a visually stunning skybox and an awesome contrast with the map's terrain transitioning from different biomes and natural-looking environments to Forerunner architecture and towering pillars, but you could also do some cool twists on established BR game mechanics. The zone, for example. Typically it's a blue circle that closes in and you take damage the longer you're out there. But what if there was an outbreak of flood on this ring? What if underneath the ring's exterior there was something that broke free from containment and was slowly infecting the surface, becoming more and more dangerous the longer it was allowed to keep moving? The Flood are a great representation of a never-ending force that could keep the players on their toes and really give some character to the zone. We've seen gas, blue lasers, and whatever else, but this would be something to genuinely feel frightened about. Within the zone, there's a thick green mist with flood spores floating around and infection forms scuttering across the landscape. Further in the distance, you can see the grotesque silhouettes of Flood combat forms, maybe even the infected Spartans who were killed earlier in the game. Venture too far out into the zone or get left behind, and you might find yourself fighting something that isn't human. At least, not anymore. The only thing that's stopping them from attacking you is a Forerunner protective dome, like the bubble shield, but on a massive scale. However, even that can't keep the parasite at bay for long. You enter the map through an ODST drop pod that shoots out from the underbelly of a UNSC frigate or other similar sized ship. Before you drop, however, you and your squad have a minute to prepare and make your plan of attack. I'm imagining this like a smaller version of the briefing room seen in Halo 3 ODST's opening cutscene, mixed with aspects of the headquarters from Call of Duty World War II. A holographic panel in the center of the room that shows a map of the ring and allows you to ping potential suggestions on where to drop. As per usual in pre-game lobbies, there'll be the chance to do all kinds of stupid stuff like teabagging on top of other people's heads, meleeing other people, fun stuff like that. A brief cutscene will play once you've entered your drop pod, and from there it'll be up to you to choose when you want to drop as the frigate flies over the surface of the ring and to steer the pod in the direction of where it is you want to go. The drop pods will start off moving to the ground incredibly fast, but can have their descent slowed and directed easier when activating their drag type chute. I think it'd be cool to have this take place entirely in the first person so you can really feel the turbulence of being stuck inside this tiny pod and the eventual impact. Though, for the sake of being able to navigate the map better, I can understand why a third-person perspective might make a bit more sense. As you get closer to your location, the pod's speed decreases before eventual impact. The moment you hit the ground, the front canopy flies off, you grab your trusty sidekick pistol, and from there, it is on. The map itself, I'd imagine, would be similar to Blackouts, where there are multiple marked locations, some of which are iconic places from previous Halo games. Multiplayer maps and even classic locales from campaign missions maybe. There could be multiple biomes too to help break up the monotony of having just one consistent type of environment, which is a problem I don't like about Warzone, where all the map just looks too similar and boring. On one corner of the map you could have a snowy or tundra biome with points of interest like Avalanche from Halo 3 making up the furthest corner of the map, with Snowbound or Longbow further inland. On another corner of the map you could have a coastal area where Zanzibar or Death Island could potentially sit, which naturally progresses into a desert biome. Cross over the shallow body of water and you'll eventually find yourself at Sandtrap, and somewhere nearby could be Blood Gulch, in a canyon below ground level with steep hills of sand allowing you to trek down to its level. In another corner could be a heavily forested area where a map like Timberland could sit, and not far off a dense jungle that could drop hints on how this flood outbreak all started. Somewhere high up above it, Guardian, suspended above the rest of the map with either gravity lifts or an ancient dusty Forerunner elevator allowing you to go up there, or the grapple shot if you're feeling particularly like Tarzan on the day. And in the middle of the map, Halo's control room, a massive monolith of a structure with many layers of verticality and the best loot to be found in the game. I'm also thinking it'd be neat to have some kind of early game advantage to the players who successfully enter and infiltrate the control room, like a brief glimpse of which way the zone will go, similar to the recon contracts in Warzone. High risk, though equally high reward. Another thing I think would be awesome to see is the wreckage of a crashed UNSC or banished ship, harkening back to the conflict that happened on Zeta Halo before the events of the campaign. The crashed ship has spread chunks of debris across the surface of the ring, acting as cover around the map in addition to the natural formations like cliff faces, rocks, trees, etc., and of course Forerunner constructs. A big chunk of the ship survived, however, and you can get inside to explore what's left of it. Maybe a broken, banished-themed version of Midship could be somewhere within this wreckage. Also an excuse to fit one of my personal favourite maps, Burial Mounds from Halo 2 in there, if we're going with the idea of wreckage being everywhere. And what kind of Halo map would it be without massive Forerunner structures? My mind instantly goes to something like... what was that one called with the big bridge? In Combat Evolved? I don't even think it was in the original game. It was... hold on a minute. Gephyrophobia? Jephyrophobia. Fuck it, I'm not even gonna try, alright? That big bridge map from Combat Evolved or Hang 'em High, just some massive structure that dwarfs the player and makes them realize how small their conflict is compared to these monolithic pieces of strange architecture, the purposes of which we'll likely never know. Scattered throughout these points of interest are UNSC and banished encampments. These will vary in size, ranging from small shelters with a few tents, ammo crates, and more common weapons, to garages that have slightly better loot and a light vehicle like a mongoose, ghost, or chopper, to bunkers and strongholds that contain weaponized vehicles like the banished skiff, a warthog, razorback, and heavy weapons. There are also multiple Forerunner installations like beam emitter towers that house exotic Forerunner weaponry like the Cindershot, Sentinel Beam, and the Heatwave, and have access to deeper levels of the Halo ring with better loot the further down you go, though don't get stuck down there when the zone closes in. These Forerunner facilities have a tendency to go into containment mode and lock themselves down when a flood threat is detected.
I get the shit stuck! Out my way, son! Door stuck! Door stuck! Please! I beg you!
The beam towers also serve another unique purpose in the game. Say your teammate died earlier, by securing a Forerunner beam tower you could use it to signal for reinforcements and get your teammate back. However, I'd make this either a limited use thing or have it on a timer, so there'd be a cooldown on bringing back your teammates from the grave. It would also add an element of map control to the game, as whoever controls those towers also has control of the respawns. In terms of the loot pool, weapons would obviously be the bread and butter of this game. Everything ranging from the sidekick pistol to rocket launcher and sniper rifle would all be available on the ground or in crates of some kind.
What? What the fuck?
Each with their own rarity level to give newer players a rough idea of how good they are. For example, an assault rifle wouldn't exactly be considered legendary tier, it'd be more likely to fit under the category of common or rare. A sniper rifle, however, now that'd be a valuable piece of kit. Of course, all these weapons would have to be properly balanced to not be too overpowered. Presumably outside of a certain distance, you'd have to lead your shots or compensate for bullet drop. There would be some weapons that would dominate at individual ranges though, and it'd be part of the game's challenge to figure out what weapons you should take and what you should leave. Take the shotgun and you'll be deadly for close quarters engagements, however for medium to long range you might get caught with your pants down, so you'll want a decent secondary weapon with some range to fall back on like the battle rifle. Additionally, equipment will also be very valuable. The grapple shot, thruster pack, threat sensor, drop wall, repulsor, etc. all seem like they're well balanced enough to be useful in a battle royale mode, and would each offer a certain amount of pros and cons to picking up and carrying one or the other. The grapple shot and a thruster would allow for increased mobility, allowing you to close the gap between you and enemy players during engagements or quickly duck behind cover. The threat sensor can be used to scope out a certain area. Not sure if there's a team camping in that building? Well, shoot a threat sensor on it. Drop wall could come in clutch for reviving teammates. The repulsor just speaks for itself, honestly. I'm still debating how you'd balance active camouflage and overshield, as within the context of a BR, those seem kind of OP. So for now, I'm just going to choose not to worry about them the same way I'm choosing not to worry about my assignments for university. If that description doesn't get your jimmies rustling, then I don't know what will. Being able to explore a section of a massive Halo ring with your friends, visiting classic locations, utilizing that same tried and true Halo PvP golden triangle of combat, but within the context of a battle royale, seems like a great idea to me, and if nothing else, a great experimental mode that combines all the elements of Halo's vast sandbox, ranging from vehicles to equipment to movement, into one fun, chaotic experience with potentially hundreds of players on the map at any given time. Halo, since its early days, has always, at its core, been a game about scope, scale, and spectacle, reminding the player how small they are in comparison to the strange and massive environments you find yourself fighting in. Big Team Battle has always strived to capture this feeling to various degrees of success, and it's something that Infinite has taken on board very seriously with its inclusion of an open or at least semi-open world. To me, the natural progression of this evolution in map size is a battle royale, and like I've hopefully stated in this video, I think Halo is perfectly suited to it. There's so much potential within this mode as well to make even larger scale versions of game modes that we all know and love. Imagine a ground war mode taking place on the Battle Royale map with huge teams of 50v50 or even higher if the game's engine can handle it. Imagine the pure chaos that could ensue from that, or a Heavies Royale with increased power weapon spawns and heavier vehicles like Scorpion tanks, Wraiths, or even new vehicles as they're added to the game. For October, you could have a Halloween-themed event with a massive game of Infection on the map, add or remove points of interest and have the map change and evolve over time. This to me is too much of a golden opportunity for 343 to not take up, and if they won't do it, I'm sure the dedicated creators within the Halo community will take it upon themselves to make the most of Infinite's crazy new Forge mode. It's just a matter of who will get to it first. So, what do you guys think? Do you think Halo should have a Battle Royale mode? I also wanted to give a massive thank you to everyone who subscribed to my channel, liked my videos, or commented over the last few weeks. I can't put into words how grateful I am to see it, so thank you all so much. Next week, we'll be traveling back to the year 2012 as we celebrate 9 years since the release of Halo 4, and in my opinion, why it's probably the most underrated Halo game of them all and deserves a second chance. So, till next time lads, have a good one, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. You wouldn't. You're way scared.